Hello, everyone. Last night he made a decision no one asked for. Not out loud, just quietly, in the dark. And this morning, the house feels different, like something is about to break without a sound. Alex didn't reach the decision in one clean moment. It didn't arrive with a speech. It didn't come with drama. It came the way real breaking points usually do, quietly, after the house had finally stopped moving. Henry had fallen asleep at last. Not the easy kind of sleep either. The kind that comes after a body has spent too many hours fighting. Tuna lay beside him, one arm curved around him like she could keep his fever from returning just by being there. The room smelled faintly of medicine and warm laundry. Outside, the farm was still. No city noise, no distant traffic. Just that wide rural quiet that can feel peaceful or heavy, depending on what you're carrying. Alex sat at the edge of the bed for a long time with his phone in his hand. He wasn't scrolling. He wasn't checking messages. He wasn't even looking at the screen. He was staring into the space in front of him, like he was watching two lives overlap and finally realizing he couldn't keep both of them intact. He wasn't tired. He was finished. Finished, pretending that if he just worked harder, everything would hold. Finished believing there was always a way to negotiate without losing something real. For years, he had lived by one rule. Take the pressure into yourself. Absorb it. Don't let it spill into the house. But pressure doesn't disappear. It leaks. It leaks into the way you talk, into the way you pause before answering a question, into the way your family learns to read your phone before it even rings. Tuna had learned that sound. The little buzz that meant the outside world was trying to get through the walls. Alex had learned something else. Even when he tried to keep work out of the house, work still found a way in. He stood up carefully, making sure not to wake Henry. Then he stepped out of the bedroom and pulled the door closed behind him. In the living room, the kitchen light was still on. His mother sat at the table, folding and refolding the same cloth like she was trying to calm her hands by giving them a job. She looked up when she heard him. "You're still awake," she said. "So are you," Alex replied. She gave a small nod. No comment, no judgment, just watching. Alex didn't sit. He leaned against the counter with his phone still in his hand. This time he unlocked it. He scrolled until he found Lan's name. It was late. He knew it was late. He called anyway. Lan picked up on the second ring. Her voice was alert, already tense, like she'd been expecting trouble even in the quiet hours. "Sir?" "Lan," Alex said. His voice was calm, too calm to be casual. "From now on, I'm changing how we work." There was a pause. Lan didn't interrupt. She recognized that tone, the tone that meant he wasn't asking for feedback. He was telling her what was going to happen. "I'm only taking 2 major meetings," Alex continued. "The ones that actually matter. Everything else, partners, check-ins, internal reviews, client follow-ups, you handle it." Lan inhaled sharply, and Alex could almost picture her sitting up straighter at her desk. "Sir, that's a lot to put on you to step away from," she said carefully. "Some partners won't accept that." "If they won't accept it," Alex said, and his voice didn't soften, "we drop them." Silence. Lan didn't respond right away because she was doing the mental calculations. She was running through schedules and obligations and deals that had been treated like non-negotiable. "Sir," she said at last, "that will slow things down." "Yes." "And some deals might collapse." "Yes." "And the board, if they ask," Alex cut in, "you tell them it's my decision, not yours." Another pause, longer this time. Understood, Lon said, but her voice had shifted. Less professional confidence, more human reality. I'll restructure everything. Thank you, Alex replied. Then he added, almost casually, and Lon? Yes? If anyone pushes you, he said, send them to me once. After that, we stop entertaining it. She didn't ask who he meant. She already knew. All right, Lon said quietly. Alex ended the call. He stood there for a moment with the phone lowered, the kitchen light buzzing softly above him. It should have felt like relief. Instead, it felt like gravity. His mother had been watching the entire time. You're cutting off a limb, she said. Alex looked at her. I'm cutting off the part that's killing the rest. She studied his face like she was looking for hesitation, for fear, for regret. She didn't find any. And for the first time since the pressure started building, she didn't scold him. She folded the cloth one last time and set it down. Finally, she said, voice low, you understand the difference between losing money and losing something you can't get back. Alex let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Behind them, the bedroom door creaked softly. Tuna stood there barefoot, wrapped in a thin jumper. She must have woken up and realized he wasn't beside her, and she had heard enough to know what that phone call meant. If you do this, she said quietly, her voice thick already, the company will struggle. Alex turned fully towards her. He walked across the room and sat down beside her on the sofa, close but careful, like he didn't want to overwhelm her with the weight of what he'd decided. I know, he said. Tuna stared at the floor, blinking hard. I don't want you to regret this. Alex leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Hard, he said slowly, is better than regret. That made her look up. Her eyes were red, not from crying, she hadn't allowed herself that, but from holding everything in for too long. For days, weeks even. They had been orbiting each other carefully. No arguments, no accusations, just distance disguised as politeness. She reached out then, uncertain, and took his hand. I don't want Henry growing up believing he only matters when it's convenient. Tuna reached out, almost unsure of herself, and took his hand. It was the first time in days she'd done it without thinking. Alex felt it immediately. The warmth, the weight, the quiet permission. He turned his hand and threaded his fingers through hers. Neither of them spoke. Across the room, his mother looked away, offering privacy without making a scene. For a brief moment, the house felt aligned. Not calm, but honest. And then, Lan's inbox chimed. She wasn't expecting anything. It was too late for new correspondence. But the subject line made her stomach drop anyway. Regarding CEO leadership capacity, Lan froze. She opened the email. It had been sent to the board. All of them. The message was short, clean, professional. No insults, no emotion, just concern, framed in the most dangerous way possible. It suggested that Alex's recent decisions showed a decline in focus due to personal and family circumstances. It raised questions about leadership stability. It hinted at risk exposure. Lan felt the blood drain from her face as she scrolled. There it was. Not a direct accusation, not a demand, an invitation. To question the chair. She didn't need a signature to know who wrote it. Lan leaned back slowly, her chair creaking. Alex had just decided to cut away pressure, and Mai had chosen not to push him directly at all. She wasn't trying to fight him head-on. She was going after the seat beneath him. Lan stared at the screen, her heart pounding. Work wasn't letting go, and now the battle had changed shape. She reached for her phone, Not to call Alex, not yet. This was bigger than a warning. This was a test, and the next move would decide who stayed standing. Lan didn't move for a full minute. She sat there staring at the email, rereading the same lines again and again. Not because she didn't understand them, but because she did. The wording was careful, calculated. Every sentence designed to sound reasonable. No accusations, no drama, just enough concern to plant doubt in the minds of people who already liked control more than they liked loyalty. Lan closed her laptop slowly, as if the sound of it might make this more real. For years, she had been the buffer between Alex and the board, between Alex and the partners, between Alex and people like Mai. She'd always believed that if she managed information well enough, if she kept the edges protected, the center would hold. But this wasn't pressure from outside. This was a blade from within. Her hand hovered over her phone again. Calling Alex right now would do one thing. It would confirm the narrative. That his attention was divided. That his personal life had become a factor. And that was exactly what Mai wanted the board to believe. Lan forced herself to breathe, slow and controlled. Then she did the only thing that made sense. She didn't forward it. She didn't reply. She didn't panic. She filed it. A private folder. Off the record. No trail, no reaction. Not yet. Because once you react, you're already playing their game. Back on the farm, Alex sat in the darkened living room long after everyone had gone to bed. The house creaked softly around him, old wood settling into night. Tuna and Henry were asleep again. His mother had retreated to her room without another word. Alex should have felt relief. He had drawn a line. He had made a decision. But his chest felt tight in a different way. Not fear exactly, more like awareness. He knew the cost. He wasn't naive. Cutting meetings meant losing visibility. Delegating meant trust, but also exposure. People didn't always challenge power head-on. Sometimes they waited. Sometimes they watched for the moment a leader looked distracted, and they called it weakness. Alex leaned back, eyes closed, letting the silence settle over him. For the first time in a long time, his phone didn't buzz. That alone told him everything. If the pressure stopped suddenly, it didn't mean it was gone. It meant it had moved. Morning arrived too quickly. Alex woke before dawn, habit pulling him from sleep even though there was no urgent meeting waiting for him. He dressed quietly and stepped outside. The farm was wrapped in early light, pale sky, damp grass, the soft sound of birds just starting their day. He breathed in deeply. This was what he'd almost lost without noticing. Not the farm, not the property, the quiet, the feeling of being present. Inside, Tuna watched him from the window. She hadn't slept well. Her mind kept replaying his words. Hard is better than regret. She understood what he was giving up, and she understood what it had taken for him to finally say no. When he came back in, she was waiting. "Are you sure?" she asked softly. Alex didn't pretend not to know what she meant. "No," he answered honestly. That surprised her. Then he added steady and clear, "But I'm sure about this. I don't want Henry growing up believing he only matters when it's convenient." Tuna swallowed. She stepped closer and rested her forehead briefly against his chest. "I don't need you to be perfect," she said. "I just need you to be here." Alex wrapped his arms around her, careful, grounding. "I am," he said. "For now." The words weren't cold, they were honest, and honesty, for them, was already a kind of repair. At the office, Lon walked into the boardroom with a composed expression and a racing mind. No one had mentioned the email yet. Not officially, but she could feel the shift. The small glances, the subtle pauses when her name came up. The way people had started speaking in slightly more measured tones, like something delicate had entered the room. Once doubt was introduced, it didn't need to be announced. It spread quietly. Lon opened her notebook and began preparing, not for a meeting, but for a defense, facts, timelines, performance metrics. If Mai wanted to frame Alex as unstable, Lon would frame him as decisive, but the problem was obvious. The decision had been personal. Alex had chosen family, and in certain rooms, that alone was seen as weakness. Lan paused, pen hovering. Too much protection would look like panic. Too little would look like agreement. This wasn't about fighting. It was about surviving the story being told. Meanwhile, Mai sat in her office, calm and composed, sipping coffee that had already gone cold. She hadn't expected immediate chaos. That wasn't the point. The email wasn't meant to remove Alex, not yet. It was meant to mark him, to let the board see what she saw. A man making emotional decisions, a leader drawing boundaries that limited growth, a CEO whose priorities could be questioned. Mai believed in leverage, and leverage didn't require confrontation. It required patience. She glanced at her screen again, checking for movement. No reply, no escalation. Good. If they stayed quiet, it meant they were thinking, and thinking was where doubt lived. That evening, Alex received a message from Lon. "Can we talk tomorrow morning? In person?" He stared at the screen. There was no urgency in the words, but he knew Lon. This wasn't routine. "Of course," he replied. "Office or here?" There was a long pause before her answer came. "Office. It's safer." Alex frowned. "Understood." He set the phone down and looked towards the bedroom, where Tuna lay reading quietly, one hand resting over her belly. He didn't tell her. Not yet. Some battles were better entered alone. The next morning, Alex arrived at the office later than usual. Not rushed, not apologetic. People noticed. Whispers followed him down the corridor, then stopped the moment he got close. He didn't acknowledge them. Lan was waiting in his office with the door closed and the blinds half drawn. She stood as he entered. "Before you say anything," Alex said, "tell me one thing. Are you with me?" Lan met his eyes. "I always have been," she said, "but this time, you need to listen very carefully." She handed him a printed page. Alex read it once, then again. His expression didn't change, only his grip tightened slightly on the paper. "So," he said calmly, "this is the play," Lan nodded. "She's not attacking you. She's inviting doubt." Alex leaned back in his chair. "Good," he said. Lan blinked. "Good?" "Yes," Alex replied, "because doubt can be answered." He folded the paper neatly and set it aside like it was just another document. Something to handle, not something to fear. "I didn't draw a line at home," he said, voice low and steady, "just to let someone erase it here." Lan studied him. For the first time since this had started, she saw something different in his posture. Not tension, not defiance, clarity. "What do you want to do?" she asked. Alex looked out of the window for a moment, then back at her. "We don't react," he said. "We document, we perform, and we let results speak." "And Mai?" Lan pressed. Alex's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "She wanted a quiet fight," he said. "She's got one." Lan nodded slowly. This wasn't over. But for the first time, the shape of the battle was clear. Not loud, not reckless, precise. And somewhere far from boardrooms and emails, Tuna would feel it too. That shift. The moment survival stopped, meaning sacrifice, and started meaning strategy. Alex quietly decides to cut back his workload to protect his family, telling Lon he will only attend 2 major meetings and drop any partner who refuses. His mother, for once, doesn't criticize. She recognizes he finally understands what truly matters. Tuna fears the company will suffer, but Alex chooses hardship over regret, and they reconnect in silence. Almost immediately, the consequences strike. Mai sends a calculated email to the board, suggesting Alex's leadership is weakening because of family issues. Lon sees the real threat. Mai isn't attacking Alex directly, but aiming for his position.